Hey guys, and welcome to my TBR for November. Now, we are in the floor for a very specific reason. I just finished playing my game to see what I will be reading for the month of November, and I have to say there are some projects that I am planning to do that I was hoping would make this list a little easier, but I don't know how well it's going to work, so let's run through the books. All right, here we go for our November TBR. All right, let's see. Green. Move forward 3. 1, 2, 3. So that will be a spooky book. Okay, so for our first draw, we got spooky book, and I am going to go ahead and put the horror read along in this slot, and that is The Once and Future Me by Melissa Pace. This one, I added it to the poll because it's one that I recently purchased and I thought it sounded really good. Very fitting for spooky season, for the fall season. Dark matter meets Girl Interrupted in this gripping psychological thriller about a young woman teetering on the edge of reality. Virginia, 1954, when a woman wakes on a patient transport bus arriving at Hanover State Psychiatric Hospital, she remembers nothing of her life before that moment, none of the dark things she must have seen and done that forged her into the skillful, cunning fighter she is. Doctors tell her she's Dorothy Fraser, a paranoid schizophrenic committed for her violent delusions. She's certain they're wrong, until disturbing visions of a dystopian future in which frantic scientists urge her to complete the mission and save mankind begin to invade her reality. So I added this to the poll knowing there was an amnesia trope in here, and you guys know amnesia tropes are like almost instant DNFs for me. I have a hard time getting around them, but the way this is set up, I think I could like it. I'm definitely in the mood for thrillers right now, so this could be one that really works for me, or it could just go off the deep end and I don't like it at all. It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. All right, our next color will be blue. Move forward 7 or split between 2 pawns. I think I'm just going to move forward 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That gets us safe, which means I have a free pick. And then for our next draw, I got free pick, and I'm sure everyone already knows what this book is going to be, but made by Hazelwood. I cannot pass up a book by Hazelwood ever. I really, really want to get this read. I loved Bride. I know Bride is kind of hit or miss with a lot of people, but I've always been a fan of like paranormal romances and things like that. It's been a long time since I've read them other than Bride, but I'm so excited for this next one. I have been trying not to read this month because it is not on the TBR that I created, but I'm so looking forward to this one. If you don't know, Bride is Hazelwood's vampire werewolf romance, and it has been fairly well received, and it does have some Omegaverse stuff in it, but I'm excited for this, especially after how the last one ended. And I have read Bride multiple times. All right, our next color will be green again. And sorry. So let's see. Who will I be bumping? Oh, here we go. Perfect, perfect. I need to read more of the books from my 25 to read in 2025. So let's go with one of those. The reason we are in the floor, I have to pick a book from my 25 to read in 2025. And I honestly, I don't know what to pick. I have one here. Well, let's just do it this way. I have a vlog that is going to be coming up, and it's me trying to fall back in love with fantasy. So I posted 3 polls on my Discord and let my Discord choose the books that I was going to read. Most of these are either on my Our Fantasy Bingo or on my 25 to read in 2025. And I'm just going to talk about all 3 books because I definitely want to get to all of these, and they chose the ones they thought I would like the most out of the ones that I posted. So we're going to go with the obvious pick being The Black Company by Glenn Cook. I am a big fan of grimdark, and this is the granddaddy grimdark book. And so I do want to get this read. Now, will I read all 3 books that are in this bind up? Probably not. I'll probably go with the first one and then see where we go from there. If I love it, then maybe I'll just continue, because this has The Black Company, Shadows Linger, and The White Rose. And I am very intrigued by this. I have been intrigued for quite some time by this book. I'm just gonna put it on the list for that reason. Well, it's been on many lists for that reason. And the second book of these, not necessarily like that my Discord thought I would absolutely love this, but it has been on so many TBRs of mine, and I own multiple books by this author. So they were kind of like, why don't you just go ahead and read this book, get it out of the way. That way you know if this author is for you. And I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we have Tigana by Guy Gavriel Kay. Yes, this has been on so many TBRs of mine. Yes, I have avoided it, but I have avoided all fantasy lately. So we are going to try and see if I can fall back in love with fantasy. And why not go with one of the great authors of the genre? Now, I do know that Guy Gavriel Kay is a lot of people who read opposite tastes of me like Guy Gavriel Kay, but there's not been anything specific that they have said about the books that would make me think that I wouldn't like them, other than, you know, they like them, so will I actually really like them? But I've been interested in this book specifically for a really long time. I have Under Heaven. I have a couple others. Let me see. Because I bought them, A Song for Arbonne. I bought them at the buy sell trade whenever I came across them and paid like $1 for them. So I didn't spend a whole ton of money to try and figure out if Guy Gavriel Kay was for me or not. I just knew the author name and went ahead and picked up the books. These are also some of the only surviving classic fantasy on my TBR, The Black Company and Tigana. So, and I guess this is modern classic, but I've been putting them off, so now it's time to read them. The third book in that would be The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. So I don't really know what to say about this other than I have liked Jen Lyons in the past. But the book that I read from Jen Lyons was very different to what this series is. The other one, The Sky on Fire, I believe is what it's called. It was kind of a fun romp with dragons and a heist and, you know, very buzzwordy for me. But I do think there is a good chance I will like this one because I really liked her writing. So I'm going to add like all 3 of these because they have been on my 25 to read in 2025, or some of them have even been on my 24 to read in 2024 and then returned for a second round, or my R Fantasy Bingo. So I'm going to say those 3 all qualify for this single space, and they will be in a vlog of me trying to read fantasy and fall back in love with it. All right, our next color is red, which let's see if we are going to be able to move from start, which bumps yellow back to home, and draw again. Oh, but because I moved out, I am going to need to pick a book from the TBR jar. Okay, so the next one is a TBR jar pick, horror mystery thriller. Let's see what we will be reading. This could be very interesting. All right, let's go, let's go. I can't really see what I'm doing. Oh, The Retreat. Cool. Okay, I've been trying to get this on a TBR as well. I don't have it sitting in here with me, but The Reformatory, The Sanatorium was the first book in this series, and I really enjoyed it. It was very much a gothic mystery set in an insane asylum with an unreliable narrator, so it very much felt like a gothic novel. And I haven't read the second one yet. I don't think that they line up so closely that I would have to read the first one. I think I remember enough of the first one that I should just be able to jump into the second book. But I have been trying to tackle series because if you've noticed, a lot of these are going to be first books in series again. And I'm trying to avoid that specific hole in my reading. Like I really need to start reading follow-up books in series and getting some of those knocked out. That will come up here in just a minute. All right, and drawing again. So move forward 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A chunk. All right, I have a book in mind for this one. Okay, my next prompt is a chonk, and I have added a few chonky books on here already, but I am going to be buddy reading a series finisher with my friend Izzy, and that will be The Art of Legend by Wesley Chu. Now, I have really loved this series. It's like a 4-star series for me, but the world building is top notch, and I get captivated by it every single time I start reading these because, one, I kind of don't understand the world building, but it makes it all that more intriguing. And I was talking to Izzy, we were talking about the world building and how the physics don't line up. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Is that the name of the movie? Like where they're fighting in the trees and walking on grass or blades of grass, and how tall is the grass? We don't know. We don't really know. And the prophecy is a little confusing because the characters themselves are confused about this prophecy and how it's supposed to play out. But I am going to be very excited to finish this series and have someone to chat about it with. Again, I can't really give you a synopsis of this book because it's the final book in a series, but this is very much about a prophecy being fulfilled. There is a whole lot of martial arts in this. Like I said, the world building is exquisite. They are super chonky. I love these covers. These covers are like works of art in and of themselves. And I really like the characters in this series. This does have a whiny main character as one of the main characters, but I'm not so bothered by him because, and I hate making this comparison because of what it is, but Kung Fu Panda, like I think of the main character in this as the panda in Kung Fu Panda. Like really doesn't want to be part of this prophecy. Really doesn't think he fits the bill for part of this prophecy, but goes along with it anyway and does his best at times, and at times kind of goes off the deep end a little bit. But I really enjoyed this, and I really like the mentor character in here. She's a riot. So it's a fun series, and I do recommend it. Okay, and hopefully this is our final draw. Let's see. Green again. Move forward 11 or change places with an opponent. Let's do this. Which also means another chonk. We got chonk again, and there is one book lingering on the TBR that I really, really want to read, and she up here. The Raven Scholar. Now, here's my problem. This is a lot of pages, a lot of pages. I have added a lot of pages to this TBR. How many times am I going to say pages? But all of these are fairly chonky, and I have been trying to get back to this. I had some brain fog. I had to set this down. The beginning of this book was a little too slow for me. There was a lot of world building, and it was really hard for me to get past. I was dealing with the amount of brain fog that I was dealing with, and so I really just want to get back to this. And I do think that I will enjoy it. Esme, Kate, those are two people that I have pretty similar reading tastes to, and so I do think that I will really enjoy it based on their love of it. But this is not the only one that Kate and Esme both loved that I feel like I'm going to love too. Asunder, I read it and I remember nothing about it. So it was, again, another time where I let brain fog take over my reading and I don't remember anything about it. Which my brain fog hits when my PMDD hits. I have to be a little conscious of that going into some of these books. But we will get there when we get there, and I will make the adjustments that I need to make at that time. Now, there is one other book that didn't make it onto the TBR via the game that I do need to talk about, and that is going to be the Patreon read-along that I have for my patrons. And we are going to be reading One Star Romance by Laura Hankin. Now, the only thing I know about this is this guy writes a 1-star review of her book, and it's very public, and it is a horrible, horrible, horrible review. And then they end up meeting, I believe, groomsmen, maid of honor at a wedding. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the scenario. And then they end up meeting and trying to help each other with their own books. But it sounds like a really fun premise, and I've heard the banter in that book is great. I've heard that the writing is like one of those that's you have to keep reading. It captures your attention and keeps you going. This is another thing I want to talk about for the rest of the year. So in November and December, I'm still going to play the game, like I said, but I'm going to be tackling my R fantasy bingo. I'm going to be tackling some of my horror bingo, and I'm going to try and tackle my 25 to read in 2025, which is sitting right behind me. Some of those books have been added via other means, but this is the stack that I need to tackle before the end of the year. Stacks. So I'm hoping I get there. If I don't, I think I'm going to reassess in 2026, like I've said before, and maybe go for 20 books that I already know I'm going to read, because I did this hoping that I would get to these books in addition to the ones I already planned to read. And that has I shot myself in the foot. Let's just say that. I really shot myself in the foot trying to make a TBR that was something I wanted to read at the time. You guys know my tastes have shifted a little bit. I have been reading much more horror, thriller, those kinds of books, a little bit more romantasy than what I had been reading. And I've been not reading fantasy, which a lot of those books behind me are. And I need to pick back up on some of the fantasy and see if I can fall back in love with it. That's the whole intent of the vlog I was talking about. I think what I have done is I have ADHD and my hyperfixation is dead with fantasy, but I hope that's not the case, because I have been a fantasy fan for a very, very long time. Oh, the other book that I need to talk about, even though I have rambled a little bit, Strength of the Few will be coming out very, very soon. And I do plan to read that when it comes out. I might need to do a reread of The Will of the Many, and we are going to talk about rereads in another video, because I do think that's something I'm going to focus on in 2026 as well, because there are quite a few books that I want to reread. And Empire of the Dawn's coming. That's going to be something that I'm probably going to tackle when it comes out. But I do kind of want to go back and reread some of these books or series from start to finish. That way they're fresh in my brain and I can give more of an idea of what I think about the series overall, as opposed to the individual books. Empire of the Vampire, Empire of the Damned, 5-star reads for me. I loved both of them. So I don't think Empire of the Dawn is going to be any different. But that's it for my video today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.